Yo guys, what is up? It's Card Shuffler 99 here. Today we are going to reveal the mysterious mentalist, otherwise known as Mysterion and Steffi K of the Sentimentalists. Before we get into it, guys, we do have a giveaway going on our channel. We're giving away $200 in Amazon gift cards. So if you guys want to enter this giveaway, make sure to press that like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment your 2019 summer goals, and make sure to click that notification button, which is the bell icon next to the subscribe button. Once again, like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, comment your 2019 summer goals, and make sure to put those notifications on, which is the bell icon. We have an Amazon link in our description, so make sure to click on that if you want to check out our Amazon page. You can go there, you can see all of our recommended decks of cards and other stuff we have recommended on our Amazon page. That'll be in the description. Anyways, guys, we're gonna get right into this reveal.
Alright guys, so the first thing we're going to do, if you guys know, if you watched America's Got Talent for quite a while, you'll probably know an act known as the Clairvoyance. If you don't know who the Clairvoyants are, they did a very similar act, basically two people going out on stage, and they do this sort of mentalism, mind reading type of trick. Now, both of this is going to revolve around the same principle and the same ideas, and that's because both of these tricks basically use the same method, the same principle, or the same device. So, the reason, obviously, that there's two people is because one person is going to be working with the audience, or they're going to be working with the judges, and then obviously your other magician is going to be up on stage, and her job is basically to convey whatever object or whatever someone is thinking or whatever someone drew, right? So that's basically how the trick is going to work. So you can't really do one without the other. You need both people up there. Now, there is a very important thing to know, and that's the person who is on stage actually needs to know what the object is or whatever the person drew on that piece of paper, because he is actually going to be conveying that to her through a device known as a thumper. Now, there's a couple things that we're going to note before we go ahead and explain this a little bit further, is that when you use a thumper, which is the device that they use, and that's what the Clairvoyants used back in the day, so it's probably going to use a very similar principle with a thumper device, and I'll explain what that is, but the luxury of a thumper is basically that you're able to allow someone, whether it's the audience or the judges, to draw whatever they want, and or select anything they want, and you're able to convey that to the person who's up on stage, who's blindfolded, who has her eyes closed, and basically she's able to recite whatever that object is or whatever they drew. Now, that's the luxury of the thumper, but you'll notice, even though her eyes were closed, and she wasn't fully blindfolded, even though her eyes were closed at the beginning, the male magician, his is not closed, obviously, right? And the reason being is he needs to know what that object is. So he was able to hold it, he saw that it was a tree, and all he has to do is convey that object to the girl. Now, again, there's a couple of different ways that this could work, because if you know, the Clairvoyants, when they first did the trick, they were very polished with it. They had the girl sitting up on stage, she was on a little swing, and she was completely blindfolded. They checked her ears, no earpiece, anything like that. So for them, it was basically completely up in the air in terms of how they would do it, because there was no earpiece, and again, she was just sitting there blindfolded. Now, this was a little bit different, in my opinion, a little bit sloppy, the way the performance went down, because she was not blindfolded for a good amount of the trick. And in fact, her eyes were completely open when she was drawing the heart. So in reality, if you think about it, that is basically, in my opinion, a little bit sloppy. I think she should have been blindfolded for the beginning, just to make it a little bit better and show that there's no earpiece. So that is an alternative option. She could have had some sort of earpiece, but again, that would still involve the thumper, and I think that would make things a little bit more complicated. So let's explain what a thumper is. A thumper is going to involve two specific parts or two specific objects. There's going to be the receiver, okay, and this is going to be with the girl, and then obviously you're going to have the device that's going to send the code or send the message. Most likely it's going to use Morse code. So if you don't know what Morse code is, obviously you can look it up on Google, but this is going to be some sort of code that they are going to know by heart, that's going to allow them to communicate whatever it is. Now, let me explain this a little bit further. Imagine what Morse code could be. So let's say we were going to send the message through, and that's what a thumper is. It's going to send messages through vibration pulses, okay? So basically, the person who has the receiver is basically whatever the object is, wherever it is. They could have put it anywhere. It could have been her shoe. I know the way the Clairvoyance did it, the male magician who was actually sending the message to the girl, he had the sender or that little device in his shoe, and you could actually see a point where he was wiggling his toes. And what he's doing there is he's actually trying to send a message. Or, for example, if he was to step down on that device in his shoe, it's going to send one pulse, or you could hold it down for a longer pulse, something along those lines. So what she's going to have the receiver, and she basically just has to feel the vibrations, feel what's coming in, and basically, sort of put together whatever he's trying to send. So imagine a code being something like this. Imagine the letter A being one short vibration. So imagine letter A just being 1, right? Imagine letter B being 2, C being 3. Now, obviously, there are 24 letters in the alphabet, so you're going to have to get creative a little bit as you go along. So the way that you would do this is you would start mixing in some other vibrations. So meaning you could do a short pulse, meaning a little vibration, and then obviously the second one could be a longer one, meaning something a little bit more drawn out. So you could have a short pulse and then a long pulse. That could be the letter D, right? And obviously there's going to be ways that they're going to have to communicate these letters. It doesn't have to be the specific Morse code. They might have their own code for letters or numbers or anything like that to basically send that to the girl. So keep in mind, he could have had the device, whatever it is, to send the vibrations or the pulses. Could have been anywhere. Could have been his shoe. Could be in his pocket, where he just uses his hand and basically just touches it and taps down on it. So if he wants to do a short, he just taps it. If he wants to do a longer pulse, he can just hold it. And she's basically just feeling wherever it is. Let's say it was in her shoe. She's just trying to feel the vibration pulses. And she's basically, her job is to decrypt or encrypt the code and understand exactly what he's trying to send her. So with that in mind, you have to know that they need to know, or the male magician needs to know exactly what the object is. So from the beginning, he goes up to the judges, he sees the card, it says, or they drew a tree, so he knows it's tree, so he's going to communicate the word tree to her. And again, that is sort of the luxury of having a thumper, is that everything was a free selection, meaning everything that the people in the audience drew was legit. A lot of people are going to say, oh, well, maybe the person in the stage or in the audience was staged, and that the heart that she drew, she's not an actual person. She's basically just like a stooge, I guess you could say, okay? That's actually not true. This is a random audience member, okay? And that's the luxury of a thumper, is that you're actually able to allow anyone to select any object. If you go back to when the Clairvoyance performed on AGT, they did a lot of objects with a purse. So they would go to a judge, they would have a purse, and what they would do is they would say, okay, you have the purse, go ahead, take something out. And the girl was obviously blindfolded. They checked the blindfold. She had no earpiece. And she was able to tell everybody what was on there, right? Now this, again, like I said, a little bit sloppy. She wasn't blindfolded. They didn't check for an earpiece. And in fact, her eyes were actually open for quite a bit of the trick, especially when she was drawing the heart. So really, in order for this to work, all they have to do is just glance at whatever it is. Meaning, again, he's not blindfolded. He just needs to know what it is. Now, obviously, the part with the little machine and they were blowing the little pieces of paper around, he's going to have to see whatever that object or whatever was drawn onto that piece of paper in order to communicate that to her. Again, she's not able to read minds. She's not, a legit mentalist. She's not out there actually reading these minds and basically just saying, oh, okay, I know exactly which one he selected. That's not how it works. He is going to basically see everything, oversee everything, and then he's going to communicate whatever that is using some sort of code. Again, it doesn't have to be Morse code. That would make the most sense, but they could have just made up their own system, their own way of communicating letters and numbers, or even just, a simple system to communicate words, especially the common ones. And again, you'll notice from the beginning, he did say, draw something a little bit more common, something that, she would be able to guess, right off the top of her head. They don't want to say something completely abstract. They want something a little bit more common and a little bit easier. So maybe they had some system for that. Again, obviously it's up to the magicians. Like if Robert and I both had a thumper, we could easily go out on the streets and do this trick, right? It wouldn't be that hard. Again, the learning curve here would be that we would have to go ahead and learn some sort of code and be able to, whoever has the receiver, wherever it is, be able to feel out and be able to put it together. But again, a lot of times, if you have the first 3 letters, 4 letters, most people can piece it together at that point, right? Like if you had the letters H, E-A-R, most people would assume that, okay, it's probably going to be heart, right? They're not going to think it's going to be like heart transplant, okay? It's probably heart. So that's something a little bit right there. Again, just a little lesson on what a thumper is, the Morse code. Again, it was a completely free selection, everything like that. And that is really it for this video, guys. Don't forget to enter to the giveaway. And anyway, that is it for us today. This is Card Shuffler 99. Peace out, guys.